Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, let us continue on with the great viewer questions that you so very kindly submitted to this channel a few months back. So I am so honored and thrilled to be able to read them and to receive them. And so let me now try to address them one at a time as we go. They are all so great. The next of these questions is from Samuel Stevens. So Samuel, it's always nice to hear from you, my dear friend. I hope you're well. And you say, could we do a Hitchcock film club series after we finish the Bond films? Okay, so thank you very much. So this is in reference to the fact that currently on this channel, at least as of the time of this video, we are doing these discussions of the James Bond films one at a time, one per video discussion. And we are conducting these in the YouTube live stream format. So it's live, and so we pick a time and a date, and I turn on the live stream function on YouTube, and then we have a discussion. And that's been going on, at least for the Bond films, for each Bond film, for it's been on and off. It hasn't been a strictly regular schedule, I admit, but it's been going on for about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year now. And so we have reached we've talked now about all of the Eon produced films, and now we're going into some of the non-Eon feature films. But then it, of course, I think it means, is this going to continue? If so, what might be the subject matter of this? Now, I haven't decided quite yet, but I would like to continue the live stream discussion, whatever it might be, if it's a continuation of maybe Bond film related discussions or maybe other films. I did mention the possibility of, say, Star Trek films. I'm not sure yet. That maybe that could happen. I'm not sure. But in any event, I would like, whatever the subject matter is, to talk about the live stream, or to talk about films in the live stream format. I think it's a lot of fun. Now, then you ask the question, could we do something on the Hitchcock films? Now, I don't know if the live stream format, I'm not sure about the live stream format, but it is a possibility. I did speak, if I recall correctly, I did speak about one Hitchcock film in a live stream maybe over a year ago, which was Vertigo. But I think it is something that I admit I have been considering, which is speaking more about Hitchcock films, Alfred Hitchcock films, because I am I think I have been watching his films since I was a little kid, and ever since then, I've always known the films of Hitchcock. And then as I grew up, I read as much as I could about him, all the books that I could find, and there are a lot of books, and many things have been written about Hitchcock, his life, his career, many things. And so it's a world that is very much its own, and it's also very vast. Now, going to the films of Hitchcock, I mentioned that I started watching them when I was very young, and that is indeed the case. For example, and I have mentioned this before, I think. For example, there was a period in my life when I was a child where my family, my mother, father, and I, we were living in the United Kingdom. in the UK, and this was due to, I think, to my father's work. We moved to the UK, and so I was living in the UK for a number of years, and this was in late 80s, early 90s, around that period. And so HMV, I think, W.H. Smith's was there, and other sort of outlets, and other places like that, as well as television in the United Kingdom. And through these outlets, for instance, I remember my mother or my parents buying the video or the VHS or the number of VHS titles, for instance, Rebecca, Notorious, Spellbound in particular. And those videos or VHS tapes I watched over and over and over and over again. As I tell you, it was fascinating. I remember at the time in particular when I was younger, I really loved Spellbound. I thought at the time too it coincided with my discovery of Agatha Christie, and I thought of those three films, Spellbound, Notorious, and Rebecca, of those three films, at least at the time when I was a kid watching them on tape over and over again, I thought that Spellbound seemed to me the most like Agatha Christie-ish. There's a type of mystery to it, who done it type of thing. So, but that doesn't. But I also loved Rebecca. I loved Rebecca as a film, and I just thought it was such a fascinating thing. Just how it develops, exactly how it develops. I thought it was so fascinating, and just the beauty and charm of and the delicacy of the situations and the performances and the I mentioned beauty and the charming performance of Joan Fontaine in particular. You know, I was very taken, quite smitten growing up and watching that for the first time as a little boy. And so that became a film too, very much important to me. And then I mentioned too Notorious. Now, Notorious was a film on VHS. When I first watched it, I must admit I didn't quite get it. And when I'm talking about watching it for the first time, I'm talking about how old was I when we got that tape? Would have been when we were living in the UK. So I would have been like 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that, I think. And so, right. So I didn't quite get it. It was then only later, upon watching, I just really got into it, and that was a wonderful experience to discover that in that way, growing up. Again, as I got older, my love for Notorious really quite deepened, and so that became a very strong association. Again, all the way back from my early days as a kid. Those are just examples. Then all throughout my growing up, I can remember. Or I can't remember a time, let me put it this way, I can't remember a time when I didn't know Psycho. That's a film where I it's like I've always known that film, and what I mean by that is I can't remember a time where I didn't know what the thing about that film is, right? And so I feel like I've always known that, and so it's always been there. The same is true for films like Rear Window. I can't remember a time when I didn't know that film, Rear Window. And so I must say too, however, the film Vertigo is one where I first began to become aware of through the VHS rentals. And this was before the restoration, a very famous restoration. But when the restoration did hit, this was some years later, I was an older student by then, and when the restoration hit, I went to the theater so many times to see that. It was fascinating. And then I remember the first shock wave that hit me when I saw that restoration was, for those of you who know the film, you'll know the rooftop opening, and there's some gunfire. And I remember hearing that bullet sound, that first gunfire that you hear in the film, and it echoed behind me. I was like, "What is this? What is what?" That was an indication of things to come for that restoration, of course. But the point is that it was such an important point, at least from my perspective and my own cinema journey, what that was. And so I'm very. That's an example of how much I really love Hitchcock films as a kid, and I had the Hitchcock Truffaut book, and that was amazing to want to see these photographs of films that at the time were very difficult or if not impossible to see, like Blackmail. That was an example. And you see the stills that are included in that book of Blackmail. I think I really want to see this. And then I remember too that I was able to get the VHS of the AFI tribute to Alfred Hitchcock in the late 70s. And so that was my opportunity to see. I didn't see Blackmail at the time when I first saw that AFI tribute, but that AFI tribute, if you know it, it's very famous or infamous depending on one's point of view. But it has clips of his films. One of those clips is an excerpt from Blackmail, and a very famous scene from Blackmail, the sound version of Blackmail. And the sound version of Blackmail is famous for a number of reasons. In particular, there's a now perhaps iconic scene involving the use of the word knife. And so the scene itself was an excerpt in isolation of that scene, but I saw that tribute and I thought, this is such a cool movie. Wow, I want to see this movie as soon as possible. And as I say, at the time it was not possible for me. Very difficult. I didn't know how. I was a kid. Where you can't find it. I can't find it in any of the stores that I go to, the VHS stores. But that was an example. So I wasn't able to see some of the films, but I was able to get glimpses of them as a kid growing up through these things, through these books, or through these AFI tributes or something, or the other documentaries of the sort, etc. The same is true for The Lodger. There is another documentary that I saw. It was an interview with Hitchcock, and there were some scenes from his films. One of which was Torn Curtain, and then the other was from earlier in his career, the silent era, and in particular the film The Lodger. And so this is an opportunity for me to see some of these clips from The Lodger. Again, I was able to see clips through these documentaries before being able to see the films, because at the time they weren't available. Unlike now, of course, you can get Blackmail or you can get The Lodger through, say, physical media labels, etc. But not at the time. Not at the time. At least it was difficult for me, as I say. So this type of opportunity and these little clues and hints and nuggets were emerging here and there and everywhere, and I was fascinated. I was captivated. I was there, right there, and then it just grew. And then there was the opportunity to read more about Hitchcock, and there were many, as I say, many things written about him and the topic in cinema. A lot of the stuff good, and some perhaps very, very challenging and quite maybe even controversial. And there are a number of those areas, as one knows, if one knows the life and times and career of Alfred Hitchcock. But this is, I guess, my way of trying to say again just how much I am very I have seen Hitchcock films for many, many years, again, when I was very young, and there, for a lot of them, I can't remember. The Birds, too, I can't remember a time when I can't remember the first time I saw them. That's how far back they go, at least as far as my life is concerned. So, in that context, I would, yes, of course, love the opportunity to maybe speak about each of these films. Now, there are a lot indeed, but it has always been about the journey And so I that would be really cool to be able to have a video on each of the films, starting with The Pleasure Garden. Goodness, that would be so cool indeed. Let's think about that. I don't know if it's a live stream. It could be, I'm not sure. Maybe we can do something live stream, or maybe it could be pre-recorded videos. But in any event, yes, let us consider that as a possibility. Thank you so much, Samuel, for that wonderful suggestion. I very much appreciate it, my dear friend. Thank you. So, thank you very much, and until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.